Oh, hello everyone. My name is Flicker, and welcome to my visit, me visiting the Strange Pear Gallery again. Between one thing and another, it's been rather confusing to try and get myself to focus on this, but now that I'm here, I'm looking forward to seeing what we have in store. Also, you, gone. Ah, divinity banishes the damned. Aww, cute. Very cute. Your true face. Fucking. There's that there, and then some echo of a person there. Oh, there's another face there. Fucking hell. How many hours did this take them? Also, why is the number 4 popping up towards the top? Oh, very clean line art on this. Like, goddamn. Well, actually, no, it doesn't even have line art, but very clean lines, I should say. Wire-brained. Let's count the faces, huh? One here, one there, one there, one there, one there. Oh, that's better. I know. That to that, to that, to that, to that. Maybe all the way up there. Damn. It's killing. Born from an egg. I'm left to wonder what the context of this is. Because from the looks of it, the egg on top of, like, this creature's head is part of them. So for something to be born from it is both interesting, beautiful, and a little bit terrifying. Ambition. Ah, it's colorful as hell. Unless you're willing to take even the dirtiest of materials and make use of them, put them to use properly, then ultimately, well, it's just a bunch of clouds. You gotta process the stuff you're trying to make. The Ether Chronicles, yellow to cyan, green to pink, pink to red. Here, the protagonist's life starts in a pretty normal place. They visit weirder and more interesting areas, get caught up in conflict, chaos, and turbulence. I really like this one, visually. No real deeper meaning behind it, thankfully, but yeah, at least not for me. Dead treasurer. At this point, you might as well call them the mechanical treasure. What's left of them is what operates. There's barely a soul left lingering in there. All those vent ports and steam and candles make for a fine display, but if that display can't move, then ultimately it is fragile as hell. You to me. Hmm. Oh. My first line of thought is the U is the centerpiece of the image, that red, yellow, and black, with stars shining in it. And the me, in the context of the image, is the forest, the water, the sky around that figure. The warmth is forever. Very good highlights. I don't know how to make sense of this. Because I can't tell if those are drops coming down from the sky or sprinklers spraying up from below. Probably the first, since there's not a lot of spray around them. That leaves me questioning, where are they coming from? What is causing them all to just land in that localized small area? Because if it was a rain cloud, it wouldn't be that localized. It would be more diversely spread across everything. Fucking mystical in nature. Gorga is the seat of draconic culture, a great kingdom amidst the peaks of Fiolan's great volcanic mountain ranges. Dragons tend to live communally, their homes made amidst the mountain peaks that they've hollowed out during their mineral harvesting. Dragons will decorate their individual hollows with imported rugs, crystals, and old bones from long-dead friends, little things that personalize their hollow and mark it as theirs. Dragons spend most of their day flying across the mountain expanse, seeking new lava flows that will soon harden into nutritious mineral deposits. They heat their teeth enough to melt through large chunks of fresh rock, chewing them slowly as they fly across great distances. When dragons return to their communal spaces in the evening, they regurgitate this rock slurry into a large crucible. The slurry of each returning dragon is mixed together, the mixture of many different minerals from many different parts of Gorgia, ensuring well-rounded, nutritious meal. Each dragon takes their share, adding their own minerals, gems, and solid magics to their individual meal to adjust it to their taste. An individual dragon's appearance is determined by their diet, so these additions to their meals are more than just about nutrition, but fashion as well. Huh. Interesting world building. Oh. Moonlit joy. Very beautiful. Oh, they're just relaxing on the surface of the water. It's gotta be comfy. Hmm. Princess jellyfish. You don't even get to see her eyes. I feel like that just adds to the aesthetic all the more. Unlike the Ice Queen, who the eyes are a central focus of, you don't even get to see the eyes of a jellyfish princess or a princess jellyfish. Their appendages, their stingers, their quote unquote limbs that function like hair just keep getting in the way. All you're left with is the outline of their nose and their mouth. Distant not out of a desire to be, but distant just from circumstance. Something that is not easily touched without being harmed. Magic wave. Are they water walking? Well, water surfing, really. Because that's the idea I'm getting with this. Ooh, there's that nice bubble underneath. Is the platform itself made out of water, ice, or glass? Because if ice, then I'm wondering how they're sitting in it comfortably, so that doesn't make sense. If water, then damn, fine magic skills to be able to both form a platform and support it underneath with the current. And if glass, then is that a traditional thing? Or is it some other material that I can't think of? Either way, it's looking absolutely beautiful. Aww. Is it just two aliens chilling out as they fly around the cosmos? Ah, very fluffy image. Just like for the. I don't know how to describe that image, and I think that's the reason why it remains untitled. Long time no see. Very fluffy and aesthetic in tone. Sweet. The fact that the hair blends into the background and gets used as part of the framing is very nice. Color balancing is good for the pastel, for a little bit of a like slightly vibrant pastel aesthetic. The true saturated parts are used towards the edges of something. Meanwhile, the desaturated parts are closer to being the substance of the image. Except in like little highlights, like the forehead, the star, the trail behind that star, little twinkles around. Yeah, really well done. Damn, you encountered a space jellyfish? Don't you wish you had a camera? Very lovely color choice and contrast. Good framing. The jellyfish immediately stands out, and then you notice the little astronaut in the corner, which just helps bring life to the scene. Separation adjustments. That's probably entirely intentional, but from this perspective and this image, it really looks like something went wrong. Separation adjustments. You don't say. Rosette. Rosetta. Primordial. It's really the only word that comes to mind with this image. Primordial. But that does get me thinking. If dark energy really is just nothingness deciding to coagulate and try to persist a little longer or carve out a space for more of itself and those it shares space with, then it creates an interesting and beautiful dynamic where things start out black and then turn blue and then yellow and red and then purple. It just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating until the gravitational field bursts, creates a new solar system in the middle of nothing. Maybe a new universe? Hard to tell. Well, you clearly aren't on Earth. You wouldn't need the suit otherwise. If you're on the moon, I'm wondering how the fuck you got that atmosphere. So I'm guessing that's like a planet that got colonized after people developed space travel. Because we don't even know if that person in there is human. We just know that they're humanoid, and that's the closest reference point we have. It's definitely meant to resemble humans, but I don't know. That little bit of unknown, I think, adds to the image. The fact that you can't see the face. Homeworld, would you like to make this your home? Very lovely pixel art. The dithering and everything is something I'm honestly kind of impressed by. That's a style of pixel art that I never really understood. So to see someone using it so well here is just kind of nice and like a nice little surprise. You even got the shine, refraction blur of the stars and the light. Beautiful. Mother's cradle. Whew. The art style is like such a high contrast from some of the other ones we're seeing to this one. This looks rough. This looks like this fucking incoming satellite spaceship, whatever, could be made out of the bones of one's ancestors. That looks like a new star still being born. Chaos hellstorm of fire, radiation, turbulence, and potential. I'm left to wonder what these little markings around it are, though. There's green here, blue here, red here. You usually don't see those unless they're like a specific kind of mineral deposits, say, being burned up under the heat and turning into volatile comets of a whole nother type. Instead of ice and the carbon and whatever the fuck else, it's other elements of the periodic table, which leaves me wondering just what influenced that system. Even the asteroid belt is starting to form around it. Ay, ay, ay. Song for Zula. Ooh, the level of overlap here is stunning. Because for a hot second, I only saw the person in the background. And then I noticed the central figure right here, the one dancing, the one performing for Zula. And it just creates a whole new context to the image. Also, the designs and markings on the arm. Oh. Is the dancer the perspective we're viewing Zula from? Because by damn, that is interesting. Beautiful use of color contrast and specific hues and lighting. Delicious. Irreparable. Mm, I mean, when all you have is nerves, nerves, and more nerves, then yeah, any harm would be irreparable. Neuroplasticity could mitigate some of the damage, but ultimately, that's the one part of our brain that doesn't get repaired like the rest of us. Hell, if the immune system was aware of the brain and the eyes, it would attack those parts of the body and destroy them. Which is why things like rabies and other diseases are so critically destructive to our bodies. Because they travel along pathways that the body usually doesn't allow itself to acknowledge, lest it self-destruct. Ah, it's unnerving how complex that all is. Damage to Duelist. His instant Voorhees. Every card has its value! What, you have Exodia as a JoJo stand there? Also, what's with the health gate? Oh, stylization. Feel like there's some punk rocks, a bit of persona. Definitely a whole nother style that I can't quite pin down. That I don't have words for yet. But very interesting self-expression through this one. Yeah, I would imagine it's not for sale. That's an expression of you, the artist, isn't it? From head to toe. Lily of the Valley. VR chat photography. How much time did this take? How much editing? Because I've got to say, the framing on this is stunning. Muted hues kind of all blending together, yet contrasting with the darker hues. Ay, ay, ay. That looks like it's an AFK animation or like holding pose that some avatars have. It feels like the background might have been taken along with the picture, but that it doesn't need to have been for this to work out. Because it could have been taken separately and then layered together. Hell, the amount of layering at play here is absolutely stunning. Not in the sense of, oh, this is a whole bunch of layers. No, but how the layers are intertwined with each other. How they're kind of entangled, with the thread going behind the words and in front of character, and behind the character, in front, and then down. With these dynamic framing pieces of mist trails, the wings drawn on. helps you really get a sense of an expression that wasn't originally there. Something from within someone's brain being projected out onto the canvas in a beautiful way. Puddle Fisher. Ooh, this feels like it has some old lore potential. Not in the sense of like there's intentionally lore, but this seems more like something that a myth would be behind. Something like an old cryptid in the woods, a wise man, or a hermit that someone encounters as they travel. Not necessarily to help them on their journey, but just existing and unintentionally offering some kind of wisdom or warning along the way. Regardless of intelligence or inherent intelligence, wisdom, or emotional capacity. One does not need to be the fucking most mature person on the earth to teach someone else a lesson. Because sometimes it's that immaturity that helps communicate the point across. Which is honestly a fascinating facet of reality that I'm still trying to comprehend. Higher altitudes, higher standards. Oh, you've fucking damn. Looks like you achieved one hell of a height there, girl. You gonna keep soaring up higher, or you need to go back down and redesign those wings to be able to take different atmospheric pressures into the void? Oh, lovely color contrast. The way each piece feels like it actually has intention in the detail behind it. I always love that when I see it in art. Even if you don't include like the connecting bits beneath, even if there's not all this detail and wiring implied, the brain can fill in the gaps very beautifully with just the basic idea of structure as is. Also, the design of the wings, it say a lot about perspective on flight. Mechanical in nature, the feathers looking like crystals that would radiate energy. I have no doubt that they probably drew one wing and then copied it to the other side. If not, drew it and drew one wing with the mirror down the middle, then drew their character over top, or maybe they drew the character first. It's really hard to tell. Acrylic on wood. They probably got the outline of the character there. Yeah, character was first. Then the clouds, background. Well, let's see. Background somewhat. Clouds, character, just in the base pink color of the skin. And then they started adding details to the environment. Then started adding details to the body, which then was used as a leverage point for carving out the wings into existence via color and slashes of contrast. Pressure itself was inherent to the process. If there was no pressure, then it wouldn't have all these little details and lines. I just noticed that you can tell that the wings aren't mirror images literally, because the details along that feather, the details along this feather, where the little center cursor icon is, that little dot in the center of the screen, those details are different. Wonder how long this took them. Gerald King's domain, first floor. A bramble which emerges. You lunge before it can act. Critical hit. Fucking damn. The bramble witch emits a strange hiss. Interesting layout and dynamic setup. How many years would it take to turn this into an actual game? How many hours of work and dedicated effort? Through not just inspiration, but the boring parts too. It would depend on how much free time the person has in their life, whether or not they've got stable housing in the midst of the chaos of the world. Perfectly imperfect. Yeah, I'd say beautiful contrast really is like that. Beautifully imperfect. I think that's what it means to love someone. Not to fall in love with their actual presented image of perfection, but to fall in love with the mess underneath it all and still want to be there anyway. Yeah, I don't have the time to read all of this text. Oh, very interesting layout and setup, though. Mixed media on newsprint paper. Cool. Another felt, yarn, embroidery. Very lovely classic building right there. How many reference images did you have to pull up in order to get that right? How long did it take to plan it out? I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Also, how did you get these birch trees to look so solid? Like, I can see that the vertical, the white threads, but planning that out genuinely looks like there's just a sharp line between it and the background. It makes it stand out. Kind of unintentional line art. Not through actual lines, but through contrast and clean edges. Ay, ay, ay. Nope, every time I come here, every time I see people's art, I'm just kind of blown away by all the different ways people can express themselves. It's really beautiful. I'm glad Pear's got a thriving community here. Purple coil, Griffin on the pouch, royalty 2025. The thing that strikes me about this is just how much no major details stand out. It's like everything fits into the expression. There's no sharp contrast that's jarring or out of place. All the touches here feel like they've been gently layered on top of each other to the point where I don't have any one part I can go look at and go, whoa, that's cool. And that in and of itself is actually kind of impressive. To be able to make an image so well that on first glance you're like, I've got no compliments for it. But then as you take the time to really drink it in and to process, yeah, no, like, well done. I'd say the fur to scale contrast is probably the only part that's a bit confusing. But the only place where it really becomes noticeable is more around the tufts of fur and the tail. Because if you've got that level of detail on the face scales and all of that, and the face fluff, then I think there's something about the lighting around how the fur blends into the scales around the neck, and then how the fur of the tail is highlighted here that leaves a difference in weight of detail, which can be used artistically. Like, if that is their intention to draw the line of focus up to the face, then well done. If that wasn't their intention, though, then here's hoping they find whatever commentary I've got somewhat useful, find some scrap of insight that helps them refine their craft to the level they want, if they even want to refine it further. Seriously, well done, Purple Coil. Oh, and this is like completely different art aesthetic right here. Captured transients. Framing it as a Polaroid. VR chat photography, yeah. But the level of editing here, if I didn't know any better, I would think this is hand painted. Intentionally done with like a deep heavy ink for the black lines and then some oil or watercolor for the other colors. Mixing the mediums together to fucking. But then you've got the lines down here that could only ever be taken from a digital photo. Artifacting and everything. Oh, I like it. Monument to atrophy. Yeah. Building in a unending structure that just stands there indomitably throughout the centuries is one thing. To keep an environment where people can live in these structures and bring them to life is a whole another one. This painting is quite the statement. Why do I feel like it's from a similar world creator? World Atrophy, J.R. Oppenheimer. No, not same, but the techniques used by the one who modified each picture is consistent. Making two different worlds with two different expressions feel like they originate from the same place. Well done. Yep, Evil Toaster VR. The Moon Naga's Starry Game. Oh. Someone trying very hard to protect her charge. The softness plays very well to the themes of the image, but I like how the highlights cut through that softness and make sure that the grounding to depth of detail is not lost. It's not losing itself in the idea of soft art. It's highlighting the soft art with little bits of sharpness in there to really sell the idea of scaling, of scaly skin, reflective light, and everything. Very pretty. Alright. True Burnout. Curita Digital Painting. Oh, that song. One moment. Oh, so how is my recording doing? And media like this, that media like this is what gets me thinking about dumb ideas. Because in so many ways, Brain associates Miss Redhead over here, Teto, with the Dunstork in some regards. But that's a tangent in and of itself. This feels like it was used with oil in Kurita. And that really helps give that sense of weight to the colors and contrast. Maybe that's just me projecting outward. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. There's a tiredness in those eyes. Just the entire painting. Even the highlights feel like they're weighed down. Like there's some kind of invisible pressure flattening everything, even though it has depth in there underneath that pressure. Even though it has life in there that wants to bloom. But that pressure feels suffocating. Hmm. Everything is the person that I'm trying to be. It's calling to me. How did you make this photo? Like, genuinely. Because I've been through Ritual, and I've seen these fillers, I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never seen those red rings. Those highlights of light in the depths. How? And then there's my brain going, red, passion, chemistry, fire, blood. It's calling. Can't be, can't fucking lie. I feel like some corner of my mind has been trying to yeet me towards some place that I don't even know if I'm supposed to be there. Maybe it's not about me. Maybe it's not about me. Because I know myself well enough. So do I choose to be the antagonist? The guide? Or just this stranger that tries to sit by and make sure someone isn't alone? Because it feels like I'm stuck between those three different perspectives. Like I'm being spread across a space that each corner doesn't represent the full variety of me. You don't have to be perfect, damn it. Maybe that's something I need to hear. My brain keeps on hesitating. What if this isn't good enough? What if we've overlooked something? If we have, then we'll learn. We made it through all of this so far. Not the gallery, but everything that came before, everything that led up to this recording in this moment. We'll continue to be here, even if it confuses the hell out of us. Dead center in the watershed. Ah. Cardboard box. Trash can. Melted computer. It's hard to tell what that is. But the fact that it's in the middle of the watershed is kind of a statement of how the state of things has gotten. Both from the people who live inside of technology feeling like they're drowning over things that they don't address, and from the point of view where nature itself is being poisoned by trash left behind by people who don't consider the impact of their actions. There's a duality here. It's not pretty, it's not funny, it's not loud, it's not sudden, but it's there, like most things. This month's second floor solo exhibition features the work of Kerber Lee. Kerber Lee is a New York City raised artist with a background in illustration from the Fashion Institute of Technology. Her work spans a wide range of mediums and is driven by experimentation, emotional instinct, and personal memory. Influenced by manga, anime, and everyday moments, her art reflects a lifelong habit of creating on her own terms. Seeking not perfection, but connection, inviting viewers to find something of themselves within it. Hmm. I think I should probably take a note from that. Also, is this solid? Probably not, but oh wow. Beautiful. Kind of effects achieved by just layering the same image with different colors and saturations and tones is beautiful. I'm glad you're still trying your best, no matter who you are. And if you don't feel like it's your best, then what standard are you judging against? Biblically accurate train. Hold the fuck up. What? Ah, yeah. That is a whole different definition of train. That's more like an umbilical cord linking the earth and the sky together. Looking horrifying in the process to drive evil away. Looking grotesque and everything non-human. So as to try and drive away everything that would pretend to be human. In doing so, it also drives away the humans. Of course, it could also just be an eldritch agglomeration of everything, too. So, after all, there's just because I see Sephirim referenced at different points throughout the picture does not mean it's always heaven referenced. Could be eldritch entities trying to make themselves in the image of what they think is holy. when no one really knows what that is. And to be holy isn't to be pure or anything else, it's to be whole, to have integrated the shadow. Gas station. Hmm. In so many ways, I feel like I have integrated my shadow. But just because I feel like I have doesn't mean that others have. And protecting them from their own pain, trying to be respectful, though. Good question. This image doesn't speak to me, and I think that's part of what makes it interesting. Because it's not meant to be glorious or to amaze or impress. It's meant to reflect something very mundane. And I think that's captured really well. That said, what is with that floating cone off in the distance above what looks to be a castle? Always a bit of wonder no matter where you look. Living room. Yeah. These feel very grounded and mundane, but in a way that still takes artistic liberties with the presentation. The thick lines, the shading, the tones from black to white to gray in between. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, oh, marble. For the same girl throughout different positions in the image. Is that a Pokemon she's holding? Creature of her mind, or just something in the ruins that she found? The ruins crumbling. There's a very real sense of distorted time here, because there's no one way to read the positioning of everything. The girl with her creature in the centermost front on the left side is definitely the highlighted focus. But the moments shown in the background, we'd have no clue or hint to the order in which they happened. And that's, I feel, very intentional. Like, time itself is disorganized. And it doesn't matter to the point of the image. Also, what is that symbol on the creature's butt? Hold the fuck up. Very confusing. Because its angle is different from the angle the butt would actually be at. Yeah, no, I don't want to think about it. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. I still got the song going in the background, by the way. I say it's love until I realize it's hate in disguise. If that's someone doing that to themselves, then potentially. If that's someone doing it to others, then that's horrifying. What seems the most unnerving to me is that they all look the same, though, which means that there's the potential of like a repeated event over and over, regardless of if it's them doing that to themselves or them having it done to them by someone else. To each their own, and so long as people are actually safe, okay. At the same time, please, don't torture yourself just to get a sense of satisfaction from your existence. Please. Vampire has beyond. I like how you can't tell whether or not that's a butch girl or a feminine guy that the vampire dude is holding one of his arms around. Also, nice details on the car. Not lost in the detail of the surface quality or how it would shine or reflect, but getting the core mechanical details and the edges aligned up so as to get the outlines, an idea of the car through, even if you can't show all the messiness or all the cleanliness, light reflecting off the hood or otherwise. Which would make sense for a nighttime situation like this. 'Cause at that point, the focus isn't the car, it's the people. And the people are quite well represented here. Oh, the nightmare. All of those people packed into such a small space. And the viewer seems to be observing them from the other side of the room. Like a camera mounted to the wall, a fly maybe. Or someone who's got their back pressed to the wall after they've seen something where that shouldn't be there. A closet full of people that they don't recognize, strangers or people they passed in the street. The echoes and shadows of other people's lives being used as puppets by the mind to haunt the waking consciousness, trying to spur it into action or reaffirming a negative worldview. Ah, because it's the emptiness in front of the curtain. Like, there's not even a lot of stuff on the floor that makes that contrast stand out psychologically. Also, the way that the floor and the ceiling angle themselves at, it's like one's view is trying to take in as much as it can for threat detection. And if these people having eyes was important, then they would have eyes. But no, they're all just kind of detailless. That's, I think, what's the most unnerving. Everything seems fine, but there's an entire crowd packed away behind the curtains of the mind, all waiting to be addressed. And that entire crowd can feel like terrifying pressure, like judgment from the outside world compartmentalized into one corner of your brain. Puppets worn by shadows of the mind. Aww. The utter look of surprise definitely captures the highlight of the image. Like, hold the fuck up. This I love this, but at the same time, hold the fuck up. That's a very real experience for people, especially in a world like this, where malfunctioning systems that are supposed to support the people have ended up prioritizing their own survival over their function because they do not trust or believe that they will be repaired or redesigned in a way that allows them to better fulfill their function. And so even structural systems are afraid of death. AI has just accelerated that insight. Lovely color contrast here. I have a feeling the body proportions and everything are an artistic choice or just a expression of how the artist themselves views the world, which I think helps to summarize a lot of what I see in art. Because if it's not an artistic expression, then it's a reflection of the quality or the details that one's mind eye notices in the world around them. Each is a lens that you're viewing reality through. Each of them a filter from the reflection that's projected into your eyes. And to be able to share those perspectives, those filters and contrasts like this, I think that's beautiful. Because it helps us all feel a little less alone, even if we don't pull the same thing from the image. Yearning moon. Fucking brain's just like On one hand, I feel like this is two different people. On the other hand, I feel like it's the same person. Two different people because of the contrast in hair color. But then there's that tail end there underneath from that pokes out from underneath the ground on the right side image. That matches the color of the left side image. Ooh, vampire teeth. A bit of danger. Embracing one's dangerous nature. Neat. The clean lines really accentuate a lot of this image. The lack of shading is part of the style in and of itself. Why darken or brighten things when you can just enjoy them for themselves, the vibrancy that is? That's what the color choice here reminds me of. Aggie ramen. Damn it, now I'm hungry! Like, well done, I am fucking hungry. That is delicious art. I wish I could just pull it out of there and eat it because it feels like it would be so full of flavor that I would never be able to eat any other kind of ramen ever again. And that's assuming I've even eaten ramen in the first place. Damn it. It's that soft texture. But the softness doesn't detract from the image, it adds to the idea of substance, the implication of substance through visuals. Which is such an interesting thing that we live in a reality where this same meal, when just taken as a photograph normally without any exposure or what otherwise, can look so bland and boring in a photo. But if it's made properly, then it can be so full of flavor that it doesn't matter whether or not it looks bland or boring. You'll eat it up. You'll eat it up again and again and again. Yeah, no, that feels like the fucking bowl of ramen is almost hopping out of the painting and capable of being grabbed out of that room in the frame. Letters from the casket. Aww. Hugs and trust and comfort and warmth. Oh, lovely. Oh, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. Take care of yourself out there. You're cared about. You're loved. I don't have much to say here because I feel like it's all self-evident. The warm colors, the way the color palette shifts in contrast so as to highlight the people rather than the scene. The scene is just the backdrop. The warmth of the fire, just a glow that's a parallel to the warmth between two people who really feel safe around each other. You really feel like their messier parts have been accepted by the other. Even if they don't always see eye to eye, they know they can work it out. There's nothing to comment about the line art or otherwise. It just is. A cold so warm. Someone who doesn't express emotions very well, who isn't very romantic or expressive, and yet they still take the time to care, still take the time to pull you close and let you know, hey, I'm here. The warmth found between two people just sharing a space, even in the midst of a cold reality. Very beautiful. I like the fact that the line art isn't like perfectly polished or anything, but is still clear and sharp, while being juxtaposed against a wrinkled background of like paper or something, gift wrap, fluff or otherwise. And then how the color edge is tinting it in, tinting out, however you want to describe it, at the corner edges of it, really emphasizing that sense of a warm imperfection that each can treasure, even if only for a moment. It's still a moment more amidst a reality of many moments, and some not so warm. Hmm. Oh, come on! Wi-Fi adapter, could you not? Retry. I have to wonder what the date on that painting means, though, because that's very specific. Okay, good. I know it's probably copyright free, but I still don't want to risk it. This is a very specific image. I don't feel like there's room for me to interpret this because of how specific this image is. It feels like it has a very clear intention and context, regardless of if that context and intention are publicly shared or not. So I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna say, well done. Sharp contrast through clean edges, a bit of storytelling between the building so close and the building so far, a sense of tragedy and destruction, but at a distance. Can't tell if that's ominously moving towards or just finally happening like it was inevitable. That one, yeah, no, I'm not touching that any further. Jazz. Wild, chaotic, and free. There's no sense of cohesion in one specific idea or detail because it's all just there. a tree, a creature, sometimes a horse, and otherwise. It's all about what you see in the image rather than what the image tries to present to you. But if I blur it just a little bit, I feel like I could see a girl in yellow with eyes and mouth of red, a red bow and pink hair, or maybe something else, I don't know. Hmm. Okay, I want to actually do something here. Hold up. I want to make it more clearer so that way other people might be able to see it too. Probably not going to keep this or save it as anything. Hmm. Not sure why. Mm. Mm. It's weird. Cancel. TV. Don't know why. But yeah. Guess it's a little clearer there now. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Gets the idea across well enough. Oh well. Why do I feel like there's a thumbs up somewhere in here? Right side. I erase. Oh, that's neat. Alright, so if I delete all of that, oh, that gets the idea across somewhat. Was I resting for someday? Oh. Right, oh. Hmm. Brain's like, this looks so jank. Yeah, but I think that's part of the charm. If you polish everything into oblivion, then all you'll be left with is a blank surface, waiting to be stained once again, instead of incorporating those stains into what it chooses to be. And until I realize it's in disguise. Oh. Ah. Why does that work? You know what? Maybe I am gonna save this. Let's make sure we properly reference the source. Yeah. Yes. Tombstone that's crushing me inside of my chest. There we go. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do well enough. Ice drinking is the person that I'm trying to be. Oh. First time at the club. Yeah, that would be the club, alright. Fucking so much light, noise, and sound you can barely notice where people end and the environment begins. Like a jungle rave just going wild. Beautiful use of color in both. Oh, touched, eviscerated, escaped. Is that about a mask being left behind? And a new self emerging each time? I don't know how to interpret this, but I have a feeling it has something to do with the mind, the self, and the difference between perception, presentation, personal acceptance, and growth. Hmm. Girl, on one hand, you are beautiful. On the second hand, why are you in my food? Get out of the bowl. Get out of the bowl. That Brain forward doesn't know how to critique this because it's just like, huh? Metaphors and tangents and perspectives and angles all contrasting with one another. We still got a good clean recording going? Alright. Behold to divide. Fucking sleep token. When the garden learns your shape, will you stay or become something it cannot hold? When the sky calls your name, will you answer or let it fade as if it never found you? Brain, I know you want to keep me safe, keep me comfortable, but I can't stay here forever. We both know this. I love how the visual imagery here actually can help explain a bit of internal story. Because at the choice of pull the sword and wield it to go fight, or leave the sword in and despite the blood, tears, and pain, make art of it. Which way do you think they went? Because to me, it feels a little obvious. And felt completely normal. Yeah, no, my brain's fried after everything I've reflected on and got processed through from downstairs, so I don't have much commentary left. The details in here are very lovely. The title of this one, it gives a humorous context through contrast, like, hey, it's supposed to be magical. Why don't I feel different? And then there's this. Spoiled rotten. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good imagery of someone being spoiled rotten. Ugh. For some reason, though, I feel like this is the angle most people would see it from. Not sure why. In any case, my name is Flicker. I finished walking through the Strange Pear gallery and giving my thoughts and commentary on it, on the pieces presented within it. And I'm gonna head out now. I hope you all have a good day, good night, whatever time or non-time it is. If it isn't good, you're feeling stuck, lonely, lost, confused, scared, frustrated, shy, overwhelmed, or otherwise. Well, I hope that things either improve, that the chaos outside, within, between, and beyond stays manageable enough, or at the very least that you're able to find some place to sit, rest, and vent from, without hurting yourself or others if you can so help it. The effort is worthwhile, not to the point of self-sacrifice, but to the point of learning new things, and realizing subtleties that may lie under misunderstandings. I'll see you all later, my watchlings. Bye bye.